At any rate, so the Yardbirds did stuff like, say, the train kept a rolling. So that song would go on like that, and that's all there was to it. But you can imagine with the bass player and the drums driving, it was a kick butt song. So I was a big Jeff Beck fan, but what happened was a guy named Johnny Eccles was the lead guitarist in the group Love. If you don't know of the group Love, they did make it up on the national Billboard 100, I'm not sure how high, and their song was called My Little Red Book. My Little Red Book was the Manfred Mann song, and Manfred Mann did it considerably better than Love, but Love had done it differently enough that it didn't pale, it was just a different deal. Anyhow, Johnny Eccles says, hey man, he says, you got to check out Eric Clapton. So I said, okay, I will. So basically, somebody put on the Blues Breakers album, which was before the group Cream was formed. It was kind of when Eric Clapton came out. Well, if you listen to the Blues Breakers album right now, and you listen to all of the recorded blues guitarists, there's a lot of good stuff, and I know I haven't heard all of it. But if you listen to that Blues Breakers album, you can see where Eric Clapton gleaned the absolute finest of the pure, soulful, urban blues that was the amalgamation of all blues, which blues to me can be happy, but they have a crying sensibility about them, and basically that pretty much verbatim is an Eric Clapton lick. But I also think it's my lick, and the reason I think it's my lick is because I have a guy I spent little time with. He passed away about a month ago in New York in a hotel, but he wasn't destitute. He was probably staying there because he had a gig. A pretty much well-known, famous jazz guitarist internationally, Larry Coryell. Larry said, he said, when you learn something, he said, it's yours. And he said, if you think that you've got something unique, he says, just go hang out for a day and listen to nature and the birds. And he says, you'll hear your riff, and the birds don't know you. So, what I say on that thing then is I was thrilled with what this guy could do when he could make a So I wound up being a big Eric Clapton copycat, and I did okay with it, you know. And then I checked out Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know, I wasn't really interested in him, but I did become very interested in him when a guy produced a VHS tape of Stevie Ray playing on Off the City Limits, and it was his last performance before he died. And I was absolutely amazed at what he could do. So what I wound up getting from him wasn't anything that he's famous for. It was the ability that he could take a lick like this he would take it and go. Now that doesn't sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but it's got his notes in there. Because one of the things he did is he didn't try to play the normal blues notes. He would play a note that struck him, and that's how he got to be so expressive. And so kind of there was him, and you know, if I look at the list of influences here, this is a really nifty thing, because this has to do with why I remember melodies. And I think that's really important, because the part of music that gets everybody is the melody. It's not necessarily the beat or the feel, it's the melody. Because the melody is what you do when you cry. You're singing when you cry, whether you know it or not. So I have this list of influences, and I didn't even finish it because there's hundreds, probably thousands. But kind of after my dad, I was pretty interested in Les Paul and Mary Ford because of Les Paul's brilliant guitar playing. And then there was also Nat King Cole. That was the other guy I left out that my mother was fond of. And she had all of his trio records. And of course, my aunt Beth, she was a Chet Atkins and an Elvis Presley fan, so she had all of his stuff. And that all played into what I did. But then we had some TV that we could get occasionally, and we would have a town hall party, which is the Los Angeles or Hollywood program. And it had a pair of a brother and sister named Larry and Lori Collins, the Collins kids. Well, Larry was a little short guy with a double neck guitar, and he had a real wild suit on with all the trim, kind of a western suit with fancy boots, and he was a little tiny guy. He's a couple years older than me, so he's probably like 72, 73. But at the time, he was a kid my size, and he played the hell out of the guitar. So of course, I was kind of jealous, and not really jealous, but I just thought, good grief, this guy plays so good, why should I even bother? But I kept it up. And I would take off summers and go swimming and not play the guitar. One time I never touched the guitar for 6 months in my first 2 years of playing. But anyhow, Fats Domino, Joey D, Ricky Nelson. There's a good one for you. Ricky Nelson and the Ozzie and Harriet show, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Well, after a while, after a couple of years, they started putting Ricky's band on at the end of the show. So I would find out when it was on, and I would scream over to the TV, make sure I was there, and on they would come. And Ricky Nelson had a very popular guitarist over the years named James Burton. So I would go watch this just for the music segment. I didn't care about the comedy or Ozzie and Harriet or any of the family values or the stories or anything. All I wanted to see was the guy play the guitar. I mean, I was glued. The addiction I've had for the guitars is beyond belief. And I've kind of pushed it away all my life too, but it's come back to haunt me. That's why I'm here. So, perhaps it would be cool if I tried to play something else. Let's see if I could make some kind of a sound here. I'm sorry I don't have everything tested. I gotta kind of see what the song is. you have to bear with a couple of little hiccups here. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. So this is a little maybe a 4-chord song, and I've got to do instrumental because you can hear my voice cracking. But I am going to start singing here pretty quick. I originally intended to sing about 3 or 4 really cool songs here, and 2 really cool arrangements of 2 really cool songs, but I can't do them because I gotta work on something I got going on. So anyhow, this is just a medium kind of a deal in A. All right, here we go.